FAB-Racing.
Huntingford struggling a little bit to get that first win of the season. His best result still is a second place so far this year, but he's going to line up on pole position, ahead of the number 72 of Samuel Munson, and the number 43 rather of Ryan Hitchcock, your championship leader, in third place ahead of Archie O'Brien, Josh Williams, Archie Gibbs, Wilson Dilks in seventh, Luke Fitchett in eighth, Thorley Trevorrow in ninth ahead of Marco Holt in 10th, Warwick Brady in 11th, and Casey Sperry rounding out the grid in 12th place. It's worth noting that some riders in this category are running on the air-cooled Minimoto machines that are slightly underpowered compared to the liquid-cooled machine. So riders such as Joshua Williams, Archie Gibbs, Wilson Dilks, Marco Holt, all running on air-cooled machines for a bit of extra track time in this LC40 Elite class. But with the conditions as it is, anything could happen in this one, and we could even see some of the air-cooled bikes battling out at the front.
Yeah, and maybe for the likes of those that are using the air-cooled bikes, they've had a little bit of practice out there. They've already had a race so far, so watch out for the likes of Archie Gibbs, for Marco Holt, that have got a little bit more practice than maybe the likes of Charlie Huntingford and Ryan Hitchcock, who will be out there. But looking to the lights to get us started for the LC40 Elite class, and it's going to be a cracker. It always is here at the Liquid Cooled. Lights on, lights off, away we go. And it's a good start there from the pole sitter, and that's Charlie Huntingford, who sweeps into this one. And the 76 will be happy. That's a great start. In fact, he's got himself almost a little bit of a gap between himself and Sam Munson in second place.
Yeah, Charlie Huntingford he's picked up 2 wins in so far this season, second place and 2 thirds, so has been really strong, really consistent, and that's why he's leading this championship by 11 points. Looking further back there's number 3 of Archie Gibbs, who we saw in the AC40 Pro class earlier on, had a crash at Christmas Corner, so was a bit tentative around there in this one, and I don't blame him one bit. The number 43 there, you can see Ryan Hitchcock in third place, just behind Archie O'Brien, who we saw was really quick in the AC40 Pros, and he's going around on an air-cooled bike in this class as well, so a little bit underpowered for Archie O'Brien, but still absolutely flying in this one. Marco Holt, another one of the air-cooled bikes, but it's the liquid-cooled Elite machine of the number 76, Charlie Huntingford, who's really strong at the front of this race at the moment. Got a brilliant first lap, really well done from Charlie Huntingford, and he comes across the line leading this one ahead of Archie O'Brien and Ryan Hitchcock in third place at the moment. Samuel Munson's been demoted down to fourth place, with Casey Sperry making his way up into fifth. Archie Gibbs, Luke Fitchett in sixth and seventh ahead of Wilson Dilks, Marco Holt and Joshua Williams. As it stands, as we see a change for second place, as the slightly taller rider there of the number 43 makes his way into second, but now there's a rider down there at Christmas Corner. We saw it take a few riders out earlier on, and that's Casey Sperry, who's gone out of this race. Josh Williams comes through the picture, but Casey Sperry trying to get the bike restarted and back into this race. Christmas Corner really proving to be a treacherous one in these conditions.
Yeah, especially for these mini motos. They seem to be struggling up there at the top of the hill, but Casey unfortunately drops out of fifth position, but Charlie Huntingford has blown away at the start of this one. A 3-second lead across the line at the exit of the first lap, but coming up to the boot and the penultimate corner, now into the final corner, and Charlie Huntingford will be looking at extending this gap at the front. Really strong weekend at Clay Pigeon 2 weeks ago, picking up all positions on the podium, first, second and a third. He took the first win on the season back in Lyd at round 1 race 1, so that's his second race win that he took. Down goes a rider at the final corner as well, so conditions catching out several riders indeed, and we've seen a number of riders go down. That's Wilson Dilks that's gone down at the final corner, so the 85 there is struggling. And around the outside goes Archie Gibbs, trying to get a run on Sam Munson as the 72 and the 3 battle at Christmas Corner. We know that Archie Gibbs has gone down at Christmas Corner already. You can see a lot more nervous through it than Samuel Munson, and losing a little bit of time, but Yeah, Archie Gibbs, once again, he's back on it. He's got the pace to be up there at the front, not only the AC40s, but the LC40s.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see the difference. It was a prime example there down that back straight. You could see the difference between the LC40 bike there, the liquid-cooled bike of Sam Munson, and the air-cooled bike of Archie Gibbs. Munson just absolutely drove away down that back straight with leaving Archie Gibbs in his dust with a bit of spray there. So really, you can really see the disparity between these two. But as you can see, Archie Gibbs closing up in the corners in the back section through the boot into the final corner. So Archie Gibbs doing a really good job to find the grip here. But another rider who's doing a brilliant job to find the grip is the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford, who's leading this race. As we said, picked up 2 wins earlier on in the season. He won the final race at Clay Pigeon with the number 43 of Ryan Hitchcock. Suffering from a DNF in that one after crashing out in that one. But Ryan Hitchcock, in all the races that he's finished, he hasn't finished outside of the top 2. So every race that he hasn't had a DNF in, he's either been first or second. So really consistent, and he's currently second in this race as well, although 2.7 seconds adrift from Charlie Huntingford, who's really putting the hammer down out front.
Yeah, very much so. And Ryan Hitchcock, as you say, 3 DNFs on the season. He goes purple in that one, a 108.2, so half a second faster than Charlie Huntingford. But yeah, Ryan, we've been bemoaning a DNF in each round so far. It's probably cost him the chance of probably opening up a pretty decent lead at the head of this LC40 Elite class. But there's the 76, the race leader of Charlie Huntingford. He's got a 2-second lead, so Ryan Hitchcock has closed in 0.7 of a second over the last 2 laps. But we'll see if Charlie can respond to this pace shown by Ryan Hitchcock in second place, Archie O'Brien in third position, Luke Fitchett in fourth after a good result in the AC40s, Sam Munson back down to fifth, Archie Gibson sixth, Joshua Williams seventh, Wilson Dilks in eighth, and Casey Sperry in ninth place.
Yeah, you can just see the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford. Tentative around some of these corners, but finding the grip nonetheless. But Ryan Hitchcock really putting the hammer down to try and catch up to Charlie Huntingford out in front. So Hitchcock really on a setting a blistering laps around this Whilton Mill circuit as they head down into the final corner as Charlie Huntingford comes across the line. There'll be 3 laps to go in this race. What can Ryan Hitchcock do? He extends the lead slightly there, so it's 2.2 second lead across the line Charlie Huntingford had, so he responds to the pace of Ryan Hitchcock and sets the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, a 107.212 by the number 76 Charlie Huntingford, your race leader, responding to the pace that Ryan Hitchcock was setting. Luke Fitchett doing a brilliant job in third place ahead of Archie O'Brien, Sam Munson, Archie Gibbs in sixth, Joshua Williams in seventh, Wilson Dilks in eighth, Casey Sperry in ninth, and Marco Holt rounding out the top 10, but unfortunately out of this race at the moment. So Charlie Huntingford then, although it looks as if Hitchcock's closing in a little bit now, he's definitely visibly closer is Ryan Hitchcock. So Ryan Hitchcock putting the hammer down and responding to Huntingford's response. Yeah,
these two in a class of their own this afternoon. As you can see, 18 seconds up the road from anyone else. You can see Charlie very nervous there through the boot, and it's allowing Ryan to close right in, and they'll cross the line. It's going to be around about a second, so he's closed in a heap of time. It's under a second as they start the penultimate lap of this one. So Charlie Huntingford, the race is not over. He's got 2 laps to hold off a charging Ryan Hitchcock, who's looking at picking up a 5th win on the season. And Ryan Hitchcock, I'm sure, will see and can probably feel himself getting closer behind Charlie Huntingford, and eyes fixed firmly forwards, and it's just these two that will be duelling it out for the race win. Behind Luke Fitchett has got Archie O'Brien for company. Sam Munson is 3 seconds back on them, so the battle for the podium between Fitchett and O'Brien is still going on, but it's Charlie Huntingford who is really starting to come under pressure from Ryan Hitchcock in second place. You can see on the exit there of Osiers at turn 8, Charlie Hunsford getting a poorer exit. It's really allowing Ryan Hitchcock, who seems to be much more confident on the brakes.
Yeah, and I think Charlie Huntingford knows that Ryan Hitchcock is coming there, because you see him took a defensive line as he went down into turn 9, so he knows that the number 43 is on a charge behind him as they go on to start the final lap for the LC40 Elites. And Ryan Hitchcock, he's right on the back wheel now of Charlie Huntingford. Huntingford put a really good lap on that last lap, a 107.6, but Ryan Hitchcock setting the fastest lap with a 106.0 on that fast lap, so 0.7 of a second quicker than Charlie Huntingford as they come up to some lap traffic. That's Joshua Williams there as a rider down at the side of the circuit, and that's Ryan Hitchcock who's taken the lead on the final lap. Will Josh Williams get in the way of these guys? Ryan Hitchcock is through on Josh Williams, and Charlie Huntingford just caught in behind at turn 6. So Ryan Hitchcock is, I think that's going to be Ryan Hitchcock who's going to take this win if he can stay on. Just a few more corners for Ryan Hitchcock to negotiate now, and he will take the race 1 victory here. Charlie Huntingford just has lost out on this final lap here as Ryan Hitchcock goes through the final complex for the last time, but Charlie Huntingford giving it absolutely everything and trying to close back in, but it's Ryan Hitchcock who goes into the final corner for the final time. He's taking it easy. He knows he's winning. There's a rider down the side of the circuit, but it's Ryan Hitchcock who takes the win ahead of Charlie Huntingford. So you're first and second in the championship, first and second in this race as well. So Ryan Hitchcock takes the win ahead of Charlie Huntingford. Gave it absolutely everything he had, and right on that last lap managed to snatch the victory away from Charlie Huntingford. You have to feel for Charlie in that one as he did a brilliant job. But now this battle for third hotting up between Luke Fitcher and there's a rider down at the final corner. That's Archie O'Brien who's gone down at the final corner. He was very close to a podium. Hopefully he can get back on and across the line, but it was Luke Fitcher who did take third place ahead of Samuel Munson. So Munson did a brilliant job to close in Fitcher, but it was Fitcher that rounded out your podium, and it's Archie Gibbs there just crossing the line there as well, and just Archie O'Brien just managed to fend off a 5th place ahead of Archie Gibbs. There it is confirmed then. Ryan Hitchcock won this race ahead of Charlie Huntingford. Luke Fitcher in 3rd place, Samuel Munson in 4th, Archie O'Brien after that crash in 5th ahead of Archie Gibbs, Williams in 7th, Casey Sperry in 8th, Wilson Dilks in 9th, and Marco Holt in 10th. Unfortunately 7 laps behind and not finishing this race. Ryan Hitchcock then, brilliant job, but you have to feel for Charlie Huntingford. Led all race long, but just fell victim to Ryan Hitchcock right at the end.
Charlie on the pole position for this one. So Charlie Huntingford, who is leading the championship by 6 points coming into today. He takes pole position ahead of Samuel Munson in 2nd. Ryan Hitchcock, yesterday's winner, in 3rd with Archie O'Brien in 4th place. Joshua Williams in 5th with Archie Gibbs in 6th. Wilson Dilks in 7th with Luke Fitcher in 8th. Thorley Trevorrow in 9th, with Michael Holt 10th. Warwick Brady in 11th, and Casey Sperry rounding out the grid on row 6 in 12th position.
So battle for the championship in this one brewing between Charlie Huntingford and Ryan Hitchcock. Huntingford on 171 points and Ryan Hitchcock on 165, so really close at the top of this one, and it's going to be between them to see who's going to pick up the victory today. It was Ryan Hitchcock who was victorious yesterday ahead of Huntingford, and Luke Fitchett on that air-cooled machine picked up 3rd place after his win in the AC40 Pros earlier on. Samuel Munson is going to be in 2nd place, so he's going to be try and get in between Huntingford and Hitchcock in this one, but very different conditions today compared to yesterday. Yeah, they'll be making the most of this slightly drier track than what they saw yesterday when it was starting to get very, very tricky indeed. But yeah, it will be Charlie Huntingford who will be hoping upgrading that 2nd place. He unfortunately lost the lead with a lap and a half to go to Ryan Hitchcock, and Ryan Hitchcock picking up his 5th win on the season. Charlie is only looking for his 3rd win. So yeah, Charlie leading the championship by 6 points. It's going to be close. We know
that the top 4 in this one will be very close. But this is a FAB-Racing, and it's the LC40 Elites as the riders look to the lights, revving those engines of the LC40s, the liquid-cooled 40cc engines, looking to the lights. It's Charlie Huntingford on pole position, Sam Munson in second. Who gets the run down to oblivion at turn 1? Lights on, lights off we go, and it's a good start there from your pole man. Charlie taking the holding on to the lead. Sam Munson in second position. Here comes Archie Gibbs trying to sweep round the outside, and he runs the runoff area. That's going to cost him a little bit of time, but we've got a rider down at the back, and
I believe that's Warwick Brady who's gone down on the Wham liveried LC40 bike there. So that's him out of the race. He also suffered from a crash yesterday, but Ryan Hitchcock really flying through the field, pushes the number 72 of Samuel Munson wide, and that's Gibbs and Josh Williams down, the 2 air-cooled front runners battling it out in the AC40 Pro Championship, and went down together in this LC40 Elite Championship at turn 6. So absolutely not what they would have wanted in this race, getting the bike started and getting back underway. But it's Charlie Huntingford with a mammoth lead now out the front on this first lap, ahead of Ryan Hitchcock.
Yeah, great start from the pole sitter Charlie Huntingford, and yeah, that was a nasty fall there for Archie Gibbs and Josh Williams, and you could see just holding his hip was Archie Gibbs, but he's back up on his feet. But the battles are still going on throughout the circuit. You can see there's the 91 of Archie O'Brien and Casey Sperry fighting over the final podium position. Marco Holt back in 7th position, fighting with Wilson Dilks, Luke Fitchett and Thorley Trevorrow, and but it is still Charlie leading this one. But Ryan Hitchcock, we know as soon as he gets into second, he'll close down that gap, and it's going to be him and Charlie once again doing battle here in the LC40s.
Yeah, and Archie O'Brien doing a brilliant job up into 3rd place, and Casey Sperry come up from 12th place on the grid all the way up into 4th. So brilliant start to the race from Casey Sperry on the number 20 machine, really flying around this Whilton Mill circuit at the moment. 1 minute ones they did off the line, so definitely drying out around this Whilton Mill circuit. 58.2, 57.5 for Ryan Hitchcock on that last lap, so he's reeling in the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford. Casey Sperry now up into 3rd place, so from 12th place on the grid, the number 20 of Casey Sperry all the way up to the podium. Absolutely brilliant ride there from the number 20.
That's Marco Holt fighting there with Sam Munson, but it looks as though this is going to be a battle once again between Charlie and Ryan. They're 3 seconds faster than anyone else on circuit. It looks like they've got a bike issue for the 85 of Wilson Dilks there, arm up in the air as he cruised around Christmas Corner. But it is still Charlie Huntingford and Ryan Hitchcock battling out the front. The gap last lap around was 1.3 seconds, but we saw this yesterday. Charlie Huntingford took a 3-second gap, and Ryan Hitchcock just eked it in, and managed to take it with a lap and a half to go. So if you're Ryan Hitchcock, you've got to be pretty confident that you can catch Charlie. Yeah, absolutely, and he sets the fastest lap of the race again on that last lap, half a second quicker than Huntingford, and now only 0.8 of a second over the line. So Ryan Hitchcock, you can visibly see on screen now, is closing in to the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford. Yep, there was good sportsmanship between the pair of them at the end of the race yesterday. A handshake on the circuit, as I think Charlie knew that Ryan just had the pace in the late stages, but he's not going to want to be hit by deja vu with as he looks behind him and sees the black helmet of Ryan Hitchcock, and we've got a report that there's a little sprinkling of rain out on circuit, so not what they want at all. So this could mix it up, but it's you're just going to have to get on with it. Unfortunately, this is the situation, and Charlie versus Ryan, and they're coming into the final corner. Who's going to have the advantage coming across the line? Who's going to set the fast lap? It looks as though Ryan goes fast. He does go fast. He's taken another 0.4 of a second out of Charlie on that lap. Even though Charlie sets a purple lap, Ryan goes and beats it. It's a 56.6 there for Ryan Hitchcock. Yeah, Ryan Hitchcock setting fastest lap of the race in succession. Every single lap he goes is the fastest lap of the race. But some dark clouds ominous here at Whilton Mill, so possibly some rain on its way. But at the moment, it's these two out the front running in relatively
drier conditions than we've been used to this weekend. 56.6 from Ryan Hitchcock. They were doing 55s in qualifying, so not far off at all. So plenty of grip around this Whilton Mill circuit now, and has definitely dried out, but possibly some rain on the way. But it's number 76, the blue bike and blue leathers of Charlie Huntingford, still holding on to this victory. Ryan Hitchcock just lost out a little bit in the back section, looking like he's trying to sort of push the bike along the front straight, so possibly running into some issues is Ryan Hitchcock, but looks back on it now, so possibly just a little bit weaker in that back in the last sector compared to Charlie Huntingford. Looking back now between the battle between Sam Munson, Archie O'Brien and Marco Holt. That's a battle brewing there for fourth place, with Casey Sperry in a distant third.
Yeah, brilliant race for Casey, coming up from 12th in the grid all the way up into third, but it's these two that you see on screen. It's your leading pair of Charlie Huntingford and Ryan Hitchcock that are in a class of their own. In fact, this is the closest that Ryan has been for a number of laps, and he just pulls off the back of Charlie as they come into the third to last corner, into the boot at turn 10, and they've only got one corner left to go. And you can see Charlie got a little bit of a twitch at the apex of turn 10, and that's just going to open the door for Ryan to get a run on him, but slightly slower off the power on the exit of the final corner. It allows Charlie to hold on to the lead of this one, but yeah, they're so far up the road from anyone else. Casey Sperry almost 16 seconds back, and they are circulating 3.5 seconds faster than anyone else on circuit. This is blistering pace from this leading pair, and it's exactly what we saw yesterday, is exactly what we're seeing now, and except for this time it's going to be Ryan Hitchcock that's going to look to make the move on Charlie Huntingford a little bit earlier. We've got 3 laps left to go. Of course, he made the move of a lap and a half to go last time, yesterday in race 1, but can he get it done with less than 2 laps to go? He's going to have a run on him on the exit. You can see arm up once again from Ryan, and he drops back a little bit, so maybe there is a problem with putting the power down on that bike.
Yeah, it looks like he's just running into some issues on that 43 machine. Just seems a bit frustrated. Yeah, seems to be he's trying to push the bike to make it go faster as he goes down some of these straights, and arm up in the air, looks a little bit frustrated with the bike underneath him. His lap times have dropped off a little bit, but not a great deal. A 57.1 on that last lap. His best time a 56.6, but he looks really distraught with the bike now, but he's still keeping up a good pace. He's still pretty much right on the back of Charlie Huntingford, so he's not happy about something, but it's not affecting him massively at the moment. Looking back at this battle further back between Sam Munson and Marco Holt, Warwick Brady really flying through the field now, back up into 6th place now, ahead of Archie O'Brien. So Warwick Brady really recovering from that misfortune he had at turn 2 earlier on in this race. Charlie Huntingford, it still is that leads. His first podium in this class, he was 8th in this class last year, Gareth, and his first podium was actually a win back at Lid for the very first race, and looking comfortable to pick up another win at the moment as he goes on to the last lap. Ryan Hitchcock now 3.7 seconds back, so definitely running into some trouble, and it could be Casey Sperry could catch up number 43 of Ryan Hitchcock, with Hitchcock running into some trouble now. Only a few more corners to go for Charlie Huntingford. He's halfway around this Whilton Mill circuit. He's done a brilliant job at the front, led from start to finish, and looking really comfortable to take this win. Unfortunate scenes for Ryan Hitchcock. Possibly an opportunity for Casey Sperry to climb up through the mix. Warwick Brady up into 4th place now, so recovering really well is the number 99, but coming through the boot for the final time down into the last corner is the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford, who's going to take the win in race 2 for the junior LC40 Elite. The 3rd race win of the season for Charlie Huntingford. Brilliantly rode, led from start to finish, and deserved that one completely. But the number 43, Ryan Hitchcock, does come across the line in 2nd place ahead of Casey Sperry, who will pick up 3rd ahead of Warwick Brady.
Yeah, as the battle's still going on down throughout the circuit, and you can see here this is the fight between Luke Fitchett and the 42 of Thorley Trevor, and they're going to go side by side into the boot. So it's all going on. Warwick Brady comes home 4th, Sam Munson in 5th. Marco Holt's going to come across the line in 6th, Archie O'Brien in 7th, as they cross the line. So it is Archie O'Brien in 6th. Marco Holt dropping down on the last lap. So Marco Holt, an issue on the last lap. There he is, distraught. Just a few corners left to go. It's cost him a top 5. But it is Thorley Trevorrow in 7th. Luke Fitchett in 8th. Marco Holt will be absolutely gutted. But what a race from Charlie Huntingford. Unfortunate for Ryan Hitchcock there. It seemed a bike issue has cost him 12
and that's
seconds.
Josh Williams as well who's went down. So that's 2 crashes in the race for Josh Williams. We saw him go down earlier on in the race with Archie Gibbs. So now he's getting back on, crossing the line to finish the race and pick up some points in the LC40 Elite Championship. But the rain now starting to come down. But Charlie Huntingford it was that took the win then ahead of Ryan Hitchcock. Casey Sperry picking up a brilliant podium from 12th place on the grid ahead of Warwick Brady, who recovered really well, ahead of Sam Munson, Archie O'Brien, Thorley Trevorrow, Luke Fitchett in 8th, Archie Gibbs in 9th despite that crash, and Josh Williams in 10th despite crashing out twice in that race.
On pole position will be Charlie Huntingford after setting a time of 55.889, just beating out the 72 of Samuel Munson. Ryan Hitchcock will line up 3rd with Archie O'Brien in 4th position, with Josh Williams in 5th and Archie Gibbs in 6th. Wilson Dilks back in 7th with podium finisher in race 1, Luke Fitchett in 8th with Thorley Trevorrow in 9th and Marco Holt in 10th, with Warwick Brady and Casey Sperry rounding out row 6 and the final positions.
Yep, so expected to see some exciting racing. Like you said, liquid cooled 40cc 2-stroke engines in these mini motos. Also worth noting that some of the riders from the AC40 Pros Championship are riding in this class on their air-cooled bikes. So down on power compared to the liquid cooled bikes, but out there for a little bit more track time and almost like an extra race for them, because they can the race between each other. So the likes of Archie Gibbs, Josh Williams, Thorley Trevorrow, Luke Fitchett, Marco Holt, they'll all be targeting each other in this one because they all know that they're all on equal machinery. But the liquid cool bikes at the front of this one are Charlie Huntingford, as you say, on pole position, and Samuel Munson lining up alongside him. Ryan Hitchcock will be looking to take another victory. He's been quite a dominant force at the front of this one, but suffered from some bad luck so far this weekend. This is Fab Racing, and we're looking to the lights for the final race for the Junior LC40 Elite. So all these riders looking to show they have what it takes to move up to the MKGP 50 and 70 classes, but now their focus is on Oblivion as they head down to turn 1 for the first time. Good start from Ryan Hitchcock, getting up into 2nd place, and right on the back wheel of Charlie Huntingford, Sam Munson slotting himself in 3rd place.
Archie Gibbs falling down off the grid. Not a great start from him, but Charlie Huntingford holding on to lead. But Ryan Hitchcock, as you say, great start getting up past Sam Munson. So we're going to see these two, I'm sure, once again going at each other for the next few laps as everyone starts to filter into position. But this is the first dry race, of course, for this LC40 Elite class. So we'll see, obviously, what they can do on this much drier circuit. As you see, Archie Gibbs there exiting turn 7 into turn 8. Charlie Huntingford holding on to the lead, but Ryan Hitchcock is going with him. And I'm expecting to see these two once again. Oh, as you see, a huge moment there for Charlie Huntingford. Almost loses the back end of that bike, and that allows Hitchcock up the inside into the final corner and takes the lead across the line. So change for the lead of this one. They've already built themselves a 2-second gap over Sam Munson in 3rd position. These two have been flying this weekend.
Yeah, these two in an absolute class of their own at the front, and Charlie Huntingford has a little look up the inside at Christmas Curve, can't quite make a move stick at the moment. But yeah, these two in an absolute class of their own. Samuel Munson, who we've seen a very strong rider in this category, also in some of the Metrokit classes as well. So Sam Munson doing a good job in 3rd place. So he had that big moment back at Clay Pigeon last time out, almost lost it, but managed to rejoin and get back out. But he'll be looking to minimise those kinds of moments in this race at the moment. So it's Ryan Hitchcock then came through from 3rd place on the grid up into the lead of this race, snatching that lead away from Charlie Huntingford. Looking a bit further back then, Archie Gibbs on the air-cooled machine, Marco Holt as well in Casey Sperry, Archie O'Brien and Josh Williams also battling it out slightly further up. So loads of familiar names in this race as well, also on air-cooled machines. But it's the two liquid-cooled bikes out the front of Ryan Hitchcock and Charlie Huntingford battling it out.
Ryan Hitchcock going fastest last time around with a 56 flat. Charlie Huntingford 3/10 for second back. So Ryan Hitchcock showing a little bit of pace now that he's got to the front. Marco Holt there, you can see closing in on Casey Sperry. And there's Archie Gibbs to the side of the track. So Archie Gibbs, the number 3, has got a bike issues, having to get the bike restarted there. And
it looks like a chain that's come off there from the number 3 rider. You can just see that they were just looking down towards the sprocket of that. So I think that's a chain that's come off there for the number 3, leaving him out of this race. But it's another Archie Gibbs, the number 91, fending off Josh Williams and Warwick Brady at the moment. He's up in a little bit higher up he's not quite coming up on our timing screens at the moment, but he'll be in 4th place ahead of Josh Williams.
Half distance in this race done, 6 laps left to go. Ryan Hitchcock leads from Charlie Huntingford, and Samuel Munson back in 3rd position. Joshua Williams in 4th, and there's was that a change for the lead? No, not quite. Here we go. Charlie Huntingford around the outside. Can he sweep around the into 7? He can. So Charlie Huntingford back up into the lead of this one. The cutback from Ryan Hitchcock, so the pair swap positions 3 times in 3 corners, but you can see they've built themselves a 6-second lead. Charlie Huntingford once again up the inside, and it's another change for position. That's 4 and 4. Can we make it 5 and 5? Here comes Hitchcock to the inside. We do. 5 and 5. And into the final corner, not quite for Charlie Huntingford. These two, hammer and nail, and you can see really going at each other at blistering speed. But Ryan Hitchcock and Charlie Huntingford fighting over this final win of the weekend.
Yeah, and a brilliant line into oblivion there from the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford. Goes right out wide, uses the white line on entry, and gets a real wide swooping line into that turn 1 and gets the cut back for turn 2. So brilliant riding from the number 76, but it's the number 43 at the moment of Ryan Hitchcock, British Talent Cup rider as well, worth noting. So a star that's come through these championships and returning for a little bit of mini moto action. So a real target for Charlie Huntingford to try and have a good battle with in this race. Looking further back at Casey Sperry, Marco Holt in there, Thorley Trevorrow getting on the back of these guys, and Luke Fitchett in there as well. So battles brewing all through this field. Also Archie O'Brien there in 4th place, the number 91, who's not on our timing screens at the moment. But it's Hitchcock out the front then, and Charlie Huntingford battling it out.
Casey Sperry is the rider that's made up the most amount of positions in this one. Started 12th, finds themselves in 6th position as across the line comes Ryan Hitchcock, Charlie Huntingford, Sam Munson, Josh Williams, Warwick Brady, and once again side by side goes Hitchcock and Huntingford. Who gets a better drive out of the hairpin? It's Charlie Huntingford. So Charlie back up into the lead of this one, but we've seen them swap positions several times. We've got 4 laps left to go. It's about 3.5 as they exit the turn 8 bend and down the back straight. Charlie Huntingford now up into the lead of this one, wanting to pick up another win on the season, but equally the rider behind him is Ryan Hitchcock, who already has 5 to his name and he wants to make it 6, and he's going to have a good run here out of the final corner down into oblivion at turn 1, but Charlie Huntingford holds on to it. You've got to think this position is going to change, but Charlie Huntingford goes purple on that last lap. A 55.873 is faster than anyone else on circuit by 0.2.
Yeah, and Ryan Hitchcock shaking his head going down the back straight there, so hopefully not more technical issues for him in this one. We saw him suffering from a few issues in the last race which deprived us, and that's number 43 gone down at turn 6. Ryan Hitchcock has crashed out and now back on the bike and restarting this race, so he'll rejoin in 2nd place, but now he's going to have a big gap to Charlie Huntingford in front. So Huntingford with 2.5 laps to go, really comfortable out the front now. Yeah, you've got to think with the pace that Charlie's been showing in this race, the rider from Stowmarket is going to hold on to this win. There's the 91 and the 72 of Archie O'Brien and Sam Munson fighting it out for 3rd position. Sam Munson currently in 4th. Archie O'Brien's made his way up into 3rd place, and the 91 is they're being joined by by Josh Williams, in 4th position as well. So
Yeah, you can see the battle for the podium still going on, but Charlie Huntingford comes across the line, and he built himself a 6-second gap with that pull for Ryan Hitchcock. But just 2 laps left to go in the weekend for the LC40 Elite class, and Charlie Huntingford leading from Ryan Hitchcock. Archie O'Brien, Sam Munson and Josh Williams all battling over this podium. Here's Sam Munson, has a look to the inside of Archie O'Brien. Not quite close enough, but Sam's going to line him up once again into turn 7 and turn 8 as they come into Walker and into Oziers at turn 8. But Archie O'Brien did a good job here in 3rd position.
Yeah, Archie O'Brien not coming up on our timing screens at the moment, but he is in 3rd position ahead of the number 72 of Sam Munson. So brilliant stuff from him up into 3rd place at the moment. But it's Charlie Huntingford who's going on to start the penultimate lap of the race. The number 76 rider took victory earlier on and looking to make a second one in this race. Huntingford also picked up 2 wins back at Lydd and won the final race at Clay Pigeon as well, with Ryan Hitchcock crashing out of that one and unable to rejoin. But here he is then, the number 76 with the blue leathers. That is Charlie Huntingford, just with a few more corners to go now, and he's going to take a tremendous double victory here on Sunday for Whilton Mill for round 4 of the Junior LC40 Elite. Into the final corner for the final time. It's going to be Charlie Huntingford that takes the win, and everyone looks delighted there for the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford. Ryan Hitchcock will come across the line to finish second, and drama on this final lap as Thorley Trevorrow and Casey Sperry go down at Christmas Corner. Thorley Trevorrow managed to get back on the bike and back into the race, but looked unlucky there for Casey Sperry.
Yeah, really unlucky for Casey, who had done a great job to move up from 12th into 6th. But there's that man, Charlie Huntingford, and what a ride from the young man. You can see just in his eyes just how happy he is with that one. And yeah, it's just pulls to the side just to help out one of the riders on the side that is struggling with the bike and trying to get the bike started. And yeah, that's nice to see the sportsmanship between all the riders, helping out, try and get the bike restarted there for the one of the other riders. But yeah, Charlie, what a victory for him. Picked up a 1st, a 2nd, a 3rd at Clay Pigeon, and 2 wins and a 2nd place this weekend. So he is on top form in this LC40 Elite class. Yeah,
brilliant stuff. And after helping out Thorley Trevorrow on his 2nd crash there, comes and to win this race. So that's Charlie Huntingford there. You can see confirmed race winner ahead of Ryan Hitchcock, Sam Munson in 3rd, Joshua Williams in 4th ahead of Warwick Brady, Luke Fitchett, Marco Holt in 7th place ahead of Wilson Dilks, Casey Sperry and Thorley Trevorrow in 10th place in this race.